All right.
G'day, I'm Alister Christie from LearnDelphi.tv, and I'm here with Jim McKeeth,
Yes.
McKeeth, and Damien Bootsma from Australia.
Yeah.
So this is the Delphi XE8 release launch event in Auckland, and we're just going to chat about Delphi-related stuff. So the presentation today went quite well.
Good.
So in terms of sort of your favourite new thing in XE8?
Favorite? Well, so I got some of my toys here with me. Some of the cool stuff is the beacon support in XE8. So we have, actually I was going to give you one of these, Damien.
Oh, giddy up. Thank you.
Actually, I'll give you this one, they're numbered.
All right.
Not that it matters, I guess. But anyway, these are beacons. They're Bluetooth LE enabled devices, and so what they do is they just advertise their, they send a signal out announcing their presence. And so the idea is that you're able to determine your proximity to the beacon, whereas a GPS is all about location, beacons are about proximity. And so if you know the fixed location of a beacon, then you can triangulate between 3 beacons. So I have 3 beacons here. If you have these 3 beacons up in your room, then you could triangulate your position between these 3 beacons. If you know the fixed location of those beacons, you could get your exact location. Or you could use the beacon to, maybe the beacon's mobile, and you could find out how close you are to the beacon. So the beacon could be on a pallet in a warehouse, or I was talking to a guy in Chicago that wanted to put them on cows.
Yep, that's what piqued my interest actually. I've got some livestock, some
Being
cows
on the farm, yeah.
Yeah, and I was thinking, I could probably put some beacons on the animals, and then try to get Wi-Fi to cover the entire farm, and then have various cheap Android devices, little USB dongle Android devices, perhaps.
Yeah, exactly.
Very inexpensive. Because you can get those for about $10 each or so, can't you? $5 to $10.
So the smaller ones here, these ones here, like the one I gave Damien, are Qualcomm's gimbal beacons, and they're $5.
Sure.
But apparently the battery life, and they're not as reliable. So the bigger ones are a little more expensive, and they're a little bit more.
So what kind of batteries are they? They have this sort of little lithium.
Yeah, it's just a little lithium button battery. I don't know if it comes open when I don't want it to, and then when I want it to, I can pull it apart. But yeah, these just little lithium button batteries inside of them. So these, actually, I read the directions. It says something like, if the battery dies, use your hacking skills to get inside. We know you're going to do it anyway, or something like that. Let's see. If the battery dies, use your maker skills to get inside and replace it. We're sure you plan to open it anyway. Remember, don't throw old batteries in the bin. So, so these aren't specifically openable. I actually looked at it. There's no seams on it. They're pretty well sealed up, but I'm sure.
Okay. Once they're flat, it's not going to matter too much.
Yeah, exactly. But you can replace the battery. They're standard off-the-shelf batteries, and then go from there.
That's very cool. So I'll definitely be ordering some in the very near future.
Cool. I want to hear about your beacons on your livestock, if you do that.
Yeah, I keep getting these ideas, but I don't have time to do them. The general farm, working on the farm, takes up quite a bit of time as well.
Oh, sure. So other new cool stuff in XE8. What else? So the Castelia integration, all the productivity enhancements are great. The version insight, we've got version insights now, got remote Git support as well as Mercurial support. So I was actually, Git's a lot bigger than Mercurial, but I guess if people still on Mercurial, so support added for that.
I mean, from my point of view, I mean, when I spent a bit of time as a Java programmer and working with application servers, seeing the EMS mature in this release now, and basically supporting all the major services that an app server needs, by adding sort of notification, which is effectively like an event service, and sort of the custom authentication, and being able to link that up into a real-world project like that little nurses demo, but really showing you the possibilities of being able to centralize your logic, and then distribute it out to different devices, whether they're on a mobile device, integrating with beacons to a desktop, having all your data being put back into one location. And sensitive data like patient information, you don't want to be sort of shoving up onto the cloud, you want to keep that on-premise in an enterprise database. Yeah. And so EMS really helps with all that. So I thought that was really, really powerful.
Also, just general data sovereignty. If you're hosting data in the US, then various government organisations can interrogate that.
That's
more or less at will. and who knows what happens in other countries. You have to, and if you're in the Google Cloud, that data can be migrated from sort of data warehouse. What are they? The container.
They're warehouses or containers. Yeah. Locations. Yeah. You can move around. Yeah.
And so you don't actually know where your data is located, and so even though you might think that it's hosted in the US, but it might actually shifted to Germany and then back to the US. And so having full control of that, I think, is very important for a lot of industries.
Well, and the other thing that's cool about EMS is not only do you have full control of your data, but let's say you have some existing data, some big, huge Oracle server backend. You don't want to pump that up to the cloud, but if you want to expose some of that data to your users, EMS provides a great way to do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's quite, I mean, you look at just the typical home internet connection now is faster than any ISP had 20 years ago.
I know, it's crazy.
So, just from your home machine, you can actually do quite a lot based on the sort of bandwidth and latency capabilities that exist.
Yeah. I've got a really good mate that does adventure racing. I don't know if you've heard of adventure racing before. The sort of 24-hour marathons where it's a combination of sort of orienteering and running and cycling and things like that.
Yep.
So with the new, say, T-Map View component, this interactive map and being able to hook that up with a GPS, they can sort of plot live how they're tracking and whatnot and get a nice interactive map of what's going on. I feel an app coming on for this sort of space. That could be quite cool. So yeah, the map view stuff is very nice, and the ability to sort of draw lines on it and so forth, and be interactive with them, not just sort of being able to manoeuvre it and have a look around, but actually write to the map is pretty interesting.
The fact that you can put the polygons on the map and then also have all those gestures, like the tilt gesture.
Yeah, the tilt I didn't know about. That was cool. Yeah. That was really cool.
I like the tilt. And actually some of the maps have, if you're in the right part of the cities, have 3D buildings on them. And so you do the tilt, you can actually see some of the 3D buildings and see some of the terrain and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, it's amazing what even can be done in a browser with the new Google Maps with the Google Earth integration. This is quite incredible.
It's just getting off on maps, it's amazing. There was a website I used to go to that was all these interesting places in Google Maps you could go to. It's like, oh hey, look, you can go see the Forbidden City in China, or
Area 51,
or whatever it is, and you click through it, it's like, oh look at this, this is an interesting place, almost like being there.
Yeah.
But I don't actually have to travel and go see these places. But traveling is still cool.
Oh yeah. Well, the other funny thing was, so my wife is pretty worried about driving in the city, and so you've got an impression of how it looks like on the map. But going to Street View and be able to, so an interactive map and actually going, right, well, we're going to drive down here, you see it, there's a sign there that says no right turn after 9 o'clock. So get there before 9 o'clock, you're okay. Yeah, just little things like that are really useful to sort of take you to that spot. That interactivity is very powerful.
It's just, how far away are you from having live satellite Street View?
That's scary. That Big Brother is
I was
watching.
reading an article that someone's built a computer that fits within a cubic millimeter. So, presumably not very powerful, but the idea behind it is like, put some sensors on it. You have, a cubic millimeter, like a billion of them in a cubic meter, I think. It's 1,000 by 1,000 by 1,000. So, there's the number of computers that you could just distribute around effectively randomly, and they communicate with each other, sort of mesh system or something like that, and get a temperature data or air quality or whatever. You could build quite fine maps of anything that can measure system.
So this guy here is a beaglebone black. He's bigger than a millimeter. But
it's still small.
We're seeing lots of these hobbyist or developer boards showing up. There are these this size, $50. But the cool thing about this one is it's got a full ARM v7 CPU, and so you can install Linux on it, or not Linux, and Android on it. It comes with Linux pre-installed. But you take your micro SD card, which it's crazy. This is 64 gigabytes of data.
Probably cost you only about $15 to.
Yeah. But anyway, you download Linux on this, stick it on here, and then plug it in and power it on. It runs Linux or runs Android. And once it runs Android, you just connect the USB cable in your computer, and you can target it from Delphi, just like you would any other platform, and develop apps for it. So, it's a little bigger than a square millimeter, but the price and the size of this make it pretty appealing. Although you were the ones you were talking about the USB dongle Android devices that are showing up all the place. Yeah, they're the size of a USB dongle. You just plug them into USB and they're powered up. And
yeah, so you typically have HDMI, so you plug them into HDMI port and then power them via USB, and then you're on the screen. But if you don't need a screen, and you're wanting to do some sort of sensor measurement or something like that, you know, with your, they typically have Bluetooth on them, so you could potentially have lots of these around and pick them up cheap enough. And
well, the Android Fire TV stick, or not Android, Amazon Fire TV stick, it's about, actually I have one, it's about that big, and it's the same thing, plugs into HDMI port, plugs into USB for power, and it's got Wi-Fi and Bluetooth in it, and that would be all you'd need to monitor your livestock and send the information up to your EMS server.
And if you had a large enough, you know, you could solar power or battery or something like that, they could be completely independent.
Yeah.
It's just need the Wi-Fi connection.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, sort of, I guess some of the next applications of this kind of stuff is, I guess, moving into things like home automation. You know, Martin, that was here before, has written a whole app that manages lighting and things like that, but getting down to the level of being able to get data back from dimmers to see how much wattage they're spitting out and things like that is pretty cool.
So I built a cool demo, and it was this little small device. It's the size of an SD card, a regular SD card for computer. It's called an electric imp, and it's a programmable device, and you program it through the website and you write some code, and it downloads the code into the device, but then also exposes it through web service because it's got built-in HTTP REST service. And so I wrote a little app so I could, from my mobile device, I could turn on the light, have a little light on it. I could turn the light on, and then also a switch. I could move the switch and read the analog information from the switch back in my app. And it took me just a very short amount of time. It was all exposed to the REST service. And it was a beautiful demo, but then I got here and I couldn't find it. I had everything but the little card, so I'm not sure if I just left it in the wrong bag at home or what, or if it just disappeared. It might be in my bag someplace.
Sneezed and it's gone.
Yeah, it could have been. But the ability to talk to all these devices and do all these cool things is just phenomenal. We're just moving so fast.
That's the whole Internet of Things.
Exactly, the Internet of Things.
I think really that's put RAD Studio in a really unique spot. You know, there's lots of people out there that are doing mobile development or Windows development or OS X development. There's not a lot of people that can say that, plus being able to code to devices and other Internet of Things capable devices as well. It's really exciting.
Well, and you know, Apple is really big about trying to sell developers on their tools so that they can turn developers into their product.
Yeah.
Right? So they're giving developers Xcode for free because they want to take that developer and sell that developer to their customers so people will buy their products. The same thing, Google's wanting to turn developers into their commodity that they can sell for their platform.
Yeah.
And so with the Internet of Things, with all this interconnectivity between devices and you know, whether it be your tablets and your phones and your desktops, as well as the electric imps and the BeagleBones and the Bluetooth devices, everything's connected, everything's interactive. And I really don't see how you could be in the Internet of Things, supporting Internet of Things, and stuck in a walled garden of only supporting one platform. It doesn't make sense. You know, users won't accept that.
I'm sure some will, but
some might, but I'll do a survey.
Apple fans with all their Apple light bulbs and Apple whatever.
Well, like I'll be at a conference and I'll have a room full of developers and I'll do a survey. I say, does anybody here only have iOS devices? And I'll get one or two people, or one Apple devices. Only have Apple devices. I know you're one of those.
I'm one of those.
But there's only one or two people in the room, and then I'll say, does anybody only have Android devices? And maybe one person usually on that. But most people have multiple devices, and they expect to be able to have that data, that experience, that connectivity move from the device to device. And so, like you were saying, RAD Studio is great for that because we have, first of all, the ability to build an app and target all those devices. And app tethering that allows you to have these devices connected locally to share data, and then you can use EMS or back into the service to then share the data through the back end as well. So, and then the Bluetooth LE and the Bluetooth components, and the beacons components, and all that stuff. It's just perfect for the Internet of Things.
Yeah, I mean, Malcolm and I were in the office the other day. We gave that example of just being able to read data from a spreadsheet and pull it into a web browser and execute it and whatnot. But we were sitting there going, what can't we talk to? what is there that we can't talk? And we went through protocols, went through technologies. There isn't a lot out there that we can't do.
So here's my Pebble Watch. My Pebble Watch that I'm wearing right now, and I pair it with my phone, send a notification to my phone either through backend push notifications or through the notification center.
Yeah.
It shows up in the Pebble Watch.
How cool.
Same thing I have, where did it go? There it is.
Your Samsung one?
Here's the Samsung Gear Live, which I just turned off because the battery will die. If I leave my bag, I usually I'll charge it up and then I'll put it in my bag without turning it off. And I get there and I'm like, oh cool, I'll show you the dip. Dang it! Anyway, I just turned it off. But this one not only does the same thing with notifications, so if it's paired to my Android phone. The reason I'm wearing the Pebble now is because I just switched to iOS on iPhone. But with the Android Wear, it will, if it's paired to the phone, any notifications show up on the phone will show up on the watch automatically from our Delphi device. Plus, with this one, I got the charger on it here, but with the micro USB cable, plug it in there, it will show up as a target from Delphi. And you can write an app from Delphi, compile it, and run it right here on the watch.
Cool.
And I suspect the Apple Watch isn't out yet, but that's the reason I got the iPhone. Is so I can do Apple Watch. Because I know everybody's going to want to know if they can do Apple Watch with Delphi. I suspect that we're going to be able to plug it in there and, again, target it and support it and reach that platform as well.
Very exciting. Lots going on.
I think it's hard to keep up.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
As a programming with a day job, so to speak, it's hard to find the spare time to actually learn all the new stuff. I'd be quite keen to go back to making videos full time and then investigate all of this stuff in far more detail.
Yeah, it's that balance of getting in and playing with the technology, but also that day job is hard. I mean, we even struggle with it ourselves because, we're out doing presentations and customer visits and then a bit of development, and you never really get a full chance to sit there and go, right, I want to go right through this now and have a look.
So what I like about doing these live things like this is someone will say, what about this? And I'm like, I don't know. Oh my goodness, that works!
Yeah.
That's cool!
And absolutely. You can do this.
But you're talking about the we're looking forward to learning FireDAC, and I think FireDAC is a phenomenal new technology. It started being bundled in XE4, I think it was.
It's based on ADUG, isn't it?
It's based on ADUG.
It's a long history, and yeah, it's very mature. So
there's a lot of really cool stuff in FireDAC. We did a series of skill sprints on FireDAC, and I did the skill sprint on the FD mem table, which the ability to have a mem table that you can, a data set you can throw stuff into is really cool, but then you can use local SQL. Oh my goodness.
That demo was insane. I mean, how many data sets did you go through?
Yes, I had 6. I had 6 different. I had a DB Express, I had IBX, I had FireDAC, I had pulling it from a
you had the
spreadsheet.
JSON data set too.
And a JSON, that's right. I was pulling from a JSON data source, a T-client data set, FD mem table, loading it from an Excel spreadsheet, loading it from Access. Everything I could think of on a form. And then I dropped down the local SQL, connected all these data sets, and was able to write a query, a join, across all of these different data sources.
That is insane.
Isn't that just, that blew my mind. I was like, I wonder if this is possible, and sure enough, it was just that easy to do. And I could write a join across all these and pull data. And I can't tell you how many times in the past I've had data from different places, even if it was a list in memory, and pull data was pulled from the database. If I could just write SQL across both of these, it would make my life so much easier. And that's why I have no hair left. I was pulling my hair out. But now that it's local SQL, it just makes it so easy to work with. It's so cool.
I mean, I spoke at the ADUG Symposium a month ago now, and my topic was the other stuff in FireDAC, just moving away from standard CRUD, but to what else you've got. And you've got, you talk about local data, you've got, array DML makes things a load faster. You've got ETL components, moving one data set from one platform to another platform.
Which also lets you do the comma separated values.
Exactly, yeah. From text to data set, from data set to text, from SQL to, there's so many options. Even through to all those administration components where you can add sort of admin support in your application for different database platforms. There's just so much in there. I'm still only scratching the surface for a bunch of it. It's very, very powerful.
Well, and the new in XE8 is the support for change use.
That's right, yeah.
So Interbase XE7 has the change use, and then FireDAC XE8 has support for, what is it? It's called, I can't remember what the feature called in FireDAC. It's not change use, because change use is interface. Something like that, to change something or other. Anyway.
I'll have a look.
It's pretty cool because it could basically, there's some other databases that have similar functionality, so you can use it on other databases as well, but it's specifically for interface.
Yeah, so you mentioned your ADUG Symposia. So it's the Australian Delphi User Group, and they do a annual seminar.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, full day. Really good, actually. We had Brian Long come out from the UK.
I heard that was very good.
It was excellent. He stretched my mind. The good thing about being a sponsor of that is you get to go twice. So we ran it in Melbourne and in Canberra. So everything I missed on the Melbourne event, I picked up in Canberra. So it was brilliant. But yeah, his debugging session and learning to love the CPU window. Actually, I'm starting to warm towards it. I get a bit more of it now. It was really good, actually.
Did he actually do like on the ARM CPU window as well as x86?
No, it was mainly Win64 and Win32. But yeah, and then the other session that he did was going beyond the FireMonkey and RTL to talk to Android and how you go about doing that, and loading libraries and whatnot. It was very good, actually.
That would be really good.
So yeah, and Matthias and Lachlan, who sort of oversee the Australian Delphi User Group, they did a joint session, and that was on what tools and technology you could use when you work in a distributed team. So they talked a lot about tools that help sort of manage recording requirements, discussions and things like that, but they did a whole session on Git and sort of the Git integration inside RAD Studio, which is sort of, we've had that in XE7, but you know, it's really nice and neat in the way that it does that, and Mercurial support in this version makes things even better. So yeah, it was a really good turn. We had good turnouts in both events. So yeah, it was loads of fun, actually.
Yeah,
really good.
I think it should be a lot more international. People in the US and Europe should get to Australia. And
well, we were just talking about that.
It becomes a tax-deductible trip.
It does.
So so if you can get you're self-employed and you want to get to Australia and have a look around, get all your flights and accommodation paid for by the company.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, come on down and see us here in ANZ. It'd be very, very exciting.
Actually, I'm looking forward to getting some insights from Australia. We're headed there next, but I was there last year. Just had a great time just seeing the sights in Sydney and stuff. So
yeah, hopefully the weather improves, man, because at the moment it's rubbish. I got another text message this morning saying buckety with rain still. So hopefully it comes good by Thursday. So yeah.
Yeah, visiting some of these larger cities blows my mind a bit, because population of New Zealand's a bit over 4 million, I think. And, it's an entire country, and that's basically the population of Melbourne or Sydney.
That's right, exactly.
So, I hate to think what London. I've never been to London. To LA briefly, but I was really young. So.
Yeah, no, London's intense. London's.
Yeah.
LA is the same.
I've not been to London. I've been to LA. I've been to Berlin. I've been to Chicago, New York.
Yeah, I'm later on going off to Delhi and to Bangalore to do the XE8 launch in a couple of weeks.
I've been there. Those are wow.
And that's it amazes me that 2 lanes can turn into 8 and everyone is safe. I don't understand it, but it's awesome. It just works.
It's pretty crazy. Yeah, all the cars.
It's cool. And the people are amazing, and we have good events there. So I'm looking forward to that.
Speaking of events, I just got back from the Chicago Delphi Developer Days.
With Kerry
Jensen
and
Ray
Ray.
Kanaka.
Oh, yeah.
It's a great event. They put together a nice thick book, which I mailed mine home because I didn't want to haul it with me. Actually, my bag was like 3 pounds of weight, and so I was like, oh no, and so I pulled the book out and mailed it home. Otherwise, I would show you. But it's a nice thick book they put together. It's got lots of good information in it. It's a great one.
I'd
so
love to get to the Developer Days.
Yes. They hit Europe as well. They got to come down here, down to Australia and New Zealand.
Yeah. I definitely
do an Asia Pacific version.
Yeah.
You've done Europe, you've done the Americas. Come
I
down
think
to
they
Asia.
would get a good turnout down here.
Yeah.
They put together a really good training.
So how many people do attend?
It's about 40, 50 people.
Yeah, this is similar to the ADUG.
That's right. Yeah. No, that's really good.
I think they've had some other ones that are bigger ones, but the Chicago one was in a smaller room. That's about how much was in there.
No, we could definitely do something like that.
I think getting to in-person events, sometimes the presentations, you think, not that interested, but all you need to do is to talk to the attendees and find out. You'll learn so much about what people are doing and what you should be doing, and looking at that's the best way to get to know people. And I think getting to in-person events often, sometimes the presentations, you think, not that interested, but all you need to do is to talk to the attendees and find out. You'll learn so much about what people are doing and what you should be doing, and looking at that's the best way to to kind of keep your finger on the pulse.
Yeah.
And particularly, I find in Wellington, the Delphi community is really small. There's I don't know, maybe 20, 25 Delphi developers in the region. So getting to these events is I find quite important to just
absolutely.
find out what's going on and what have you.
Well, and sitting down and talking with somebody is such a high bandwidth way to communicate. And you just, you can, oh, that's so interesting. You go off these side conversations and all this interesting stuff comes up and you just learn so much. Make a new contact maybe you can stay in touch with as well. So.
Indeed. So you're off to Australia next.
Yes.
What cities are you visiting there?
So we're off to Melbourne tonight.
Yep.
So we're going to present in Melbourne tomorrow morning, and then we fly. What's today?
Today's Tuesday.
Today's Tuesday. So so lose track of the days. I'm only from Australia. Far out. I don't know how you're going, man.
Oh yeah, but the whole international dateline thing, that's just like blows my mind.
Yeah. So
it's one thing, you know how these time zones and datelines work, but then when you actually travel through them, it's just like, oh my goodness, this is crazy.
Yeah. I know, because you're in the future now.
I am in the future now. I keep telling my wife, I'm in the future. I'm a day ahead of you.
So you hit up Sydney on Thursday, and then you're off to South Korea, aren't you?
Yes, South Korea.
Yeah.
Over the weekend, so I'll be South Korea on Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah, and I've got a week at home, and then I head off to India and to Hong Kong. So
South Korea is another huge city.
It's
Seoul,
fantastic.
oh my goodness.
I mean, the launch events that Pyongyang puts on in South Korea is incredible. They get 300 people.
Yeah.
It's
Wow.
really exciting, actually.
Yeah.
It's really good energy.
It's like when I've been to Brazil, I have like 400 people at the events in Brazil.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was looking at the sort of demographics of my the Delphi.tv website, and there's lots of people from South America, lots of people from Germany and Russia, or the Soviet Union, I suppose.
Yep.
Soviet, the Eastern Bloc countries, and of course the US. So it's an interesting distribution, and I think a lot of these non-English speaking natively, and my website is purely English,
Right.
and I talk really fast. So so it is interesting that how global Delphi is.
Absolutely.
It is.
In some of these countries, and how it might not be so popular here in New Zealand, but in Germany there's quite this very large community. Just reading there's a new Delphi book on on FireMonkey. It's translated from German, and the content is really good, but it is really hard reading the translations. The language.
Yeah,
it needs some people to do a more better English translation. Or tidy up of the language.
If I choose to translate it.
It might have been better actually. If I don't know. I'm sure the German version of the book is probably excellent, but and as I say, the content is good. I'm learning a few bits and pieces.
Well, I mean, that's the other really cool thing that's happened as of late in the last 18 months. We've had so many books getting published again, which is really exciting. So you've had
Nick Hodges, the
Nick Hodges' book, then Marco's book.
You're right, yeah.
That's right.
And
Daniel Tietty had his cookbook one out, his recipes.
There's and there's a couple other ones I can't remember. And then there's a guy in Brazil, William, that's working on a book that's going to be out in the near future. There's the German one you just talked about. Everyone I turn around, it's like, oh my goodness, there's new books.
Yeah.
And I think I'm on top of this, and they're just like, oh, I missed this one. Where did
so there's lots. I think I have to say, Embarcadero are doing, I think, a very good job presently. I think a lot of people are criticising, FireMonkey is the wrong way to go, it should be native. But I think if you do that, you don't get the right ones. You compile and run it everywhere. So I think the compromises that we made are perfectly sensible, and it's FireMonkey is an excellent solution to the.
Well, and as in XE8, we expanded the platform rendering of the on iOS, and actually some third parties, was it DPF and TMS have some whole platform native suites you can use.
That's right. Yeah.
So the thing I like about Delphi, and this was the same with Windows, is that you could use the VCL, and it was this nice, really easy to work with layer. But if you wanted to, you could reach down and grab those APIs and call all those different controls. And it's the same thing with FireMonkey, is you can use this FireMonkey layer, or you can use our platform native renderings we have for iOS, or you can use some of these third-party suites to get access to all these other libraries. It's just a matter of where on that spectrum you want to be, but we give you the ability to be anywhere on that spectrum you want, where everybody else is one particular part of that spectrum. They don't give you the flexibility that we have. So
that's very good.
And certainly the FireMonkey is feeling polished now. Like as, I don't know, XE sort of 2, 3, 4, every time we used it, it's kind of felt there's like bits missing, and didn't interact very well in the designers and things like that. But now it's just, it feels, everything seems to work right as I expect. So
yeah, I mean, you're not seeing. I mean, we released a couple of new components in this release, but a lot of it is just sort of little tweaks here and there, and a bit more polish, updates. It's in a really good place. It's maturing now, which is excellent.
It also, during that time period, you had a lot of fundamental changes from version to version.
That's right.
Yeah. A lot of people are like, "Oh my goodness, you broke all the work I did. I'm building this third party." But now it's more stable.
And it was not only the FireMonkey platform changing, it's the iOS and Android that change as well. So there's this, and I think they're sort of stabilising a bit more in terms of the UI.
It's hard to know. It seems like it is, but then they mix it up. So like Google, Android now has the whole material design, which is kind of different. You can still do it with FireMonkey, but we don't have like really good built-in support for it, but you can still do it.
So material design.
Material design is this idea. So if you go back to the original iOS release, you had like the Notes app look like a notepad.
Oh, okay.
And that was it's called skeuomorphism.
Yes.
So the idea of skeuomorphism is that it looks like a real-world physical device, physical object. But over time, we've seen this shift away from skeuomorphic to non-skeuomorphic. And so really, Windows, formerly called Metro, was really the big pusher of that. They were the first really big platform.
Very stack.
It's
just simple and fast. And
there's no 3D, nothing looks like a button, it just is a button. You just tap this, oh, it's a button. And so that was a really big shift. I think that was probably the start of the big shift, but now iOS with was it iOS 7 where they went to the flat?
Yes.
Got rid of all the skeuomorphism in iOS. Android now as well is moving. Android's kind of been kind of muddled, kind of all over the place, but now they're very much not non-skeuomorphic, and so the material design is this idea of it's like it's layers of paper, and it's the best way to describe it. And so you have shadows between layers, and layers slide over each other and expand and contract, and so it doesn't look like a real-world object. It's not skeuomorphic, but it is more physical, more tangible.
It has properties of
real-world
objects.
objects. So there's lots of, actually I've heard from the Android developers, there's lots of work that goes into the shadows and the way the different objects move around and stuff like that to do that. So if you've seen some of the latest Android UIs, that's the material design, is what they're calling it.
Yeah. So suddenly short of topics.
It's because I talked for too long and just...
Yeah. Did you get any sightseeing done here in New Zealand?
I did. I walked around Auckland some. I wanted to go out to Hobbiton and check out the Lord of the Rings set there, but just I looked at the map. It was like a 2-hour drive. I'm like, I don't know if I want to do that. But I did. I walked around Auckland quite a bit. I went to Albert Park, which was really cool.
Okay.
There's lots of cool trees there. What else did I do? Went out to the harbor. Went down there again last night for dinner. I don't know what else I was supposed to see, but
I don't know. There's not that much in Auckland as such that you really need to get out. I think New Zealand, you want to get out to the scenery and stuff.
I'd actually wanted to go out and do all that, but sometimes traveling I get really tired.
Oh, indeed.
And so sometimes the trick is just making sure I'm not staying in bed at the hotel all day. Actually, I've gotten much better at dealing with jet lag. Jet lag, when I first started traveling internationally, was just killing me. But anymore, making sure I get some sleep on the plane so that I'm awake when it's time to be here, and then staying awake that day usually gets me in quite a ways.
You've got some strategies now.
Yeah, I've got some strategies. Kerry Jensen helped me out. He said, "This is what we got to do." So, made a big difference.
Indeed. Have you got any time for sightseeing in Australia, or is it?
Yeah, so I have a little time in Sydney this weekend after our event there. A little time there before I head off to Seoul.
Oh, that's good.
Seoul will be fun again. Seoul's there lots of Korean barbecue. That's what people eat in Seoul, is Korean barbecue.
It's awesome.
It's awesome.
It
It's really
is
good.
good
All these
food.
little side dishes and stuff.
Okay.
It's pretty cool. And then last time we were there, we went to Samsung's headquarters, which is kind of cool. Go see that. I don't know if we'll see that this time or not. It was actually turned out it was like right next door to my hotel. I didn't know that. But I'll be.
Convenient.
I mean, actually, I think I'll be at the same hotel, so I'll be right next to the Samsung headquarters again, in the Gangnam district.
Yeah, yes.
Which I didn't realize that's where I was. Oh, this is it. Okay, this is what the song's about. But it's funny when you go to, when you fly, so I flew Air New Zealand here, and the little in-flight
Safety video
has got all these, Hobbit references.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
Peter Jackson's in it, and Elijah Woods, and everybody's in costume and stuff. It's pretty crazy. And when I flew into Seoul, in the airport, all the safety, all the welcome to Seoul videos were Psy with the Gangnam Style dance and stuff like that, dancing around and stuff. So they really milk that local.
Absolutely, local talent.
Celebrity.
Yeah.
Nice.
So in Wellington Airport, they've got some. I don't know, there's a life-size eagle with Gandalf on it.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
Is that still there?
Yeah, it's still
Awesome.
there, and huge golem.
Yeah, I remember the golem. We've got the big dwarf in
Oh, yeah.
Auckland.
Yep, I
the
saw that.
statue dwarf.
Mhm.
Sort of at the
I got a
front
picture of
line.
him.
Yes.
You know what? I just realized I didn't. I had to plan something I wanted to do in today's presentation. I didn't. I was going to show the Code Monkey video. Have you seen the Code Monkey?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to. I have a
That's
copy of it.
very clever.
Play that, but let's do that later.
Because you're coding to the Code Monkey.
Coding the Code
Yeah.
Monkey, yeah.
So it's definitely worth looking at. If,
We'll have time tomorrow. Absolutely.
yeah.
Actually, whenever I'm doing a talk at a conference, usually like the 5 minutes before this talk's supposed to start, I'll just play the video.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
It's a good way to get everybody in the room, and everybody loves it.
Indeed. Okay. Anything to add, Coulter? It's good. Okay.
Good listening to you guys.
So we did the Google Cardboard giveaway today.
Yeah,
indeed.
Bring that around.
So this is
An
only to
amazing
these
piece
guys.
of technology.
It is. So it uses your cell phone. You just put your cell phone. You put your cell phone inside here, and you line your camera up there, so it's right there. And then your app. You have to have an app that has a split screen view, and then it lets you see gives you a 3D virtual reality headset out of a piece of cardboard. So much cheaper than the Oculus Rift, but actually a lot similar.
$1.50 versus
Yeah.
Yeah.
So interesting, the Oculus Rift, they actually originally, actually I think they still are, is they're pulling like Nexus 7 tablets, and they're using the same screen on Nexus 7 tablets in the Oculus Rift. So it's essentially off the shelf hardware. So this is, you uses just regular phone, puts it in there. But it's pretty good actually, it's surprisingly good. So that's the giveaway we're getting. It's got the cool RAD Studio logo on it.
Absolutely.
Indeed. Okay, I guess we'll wrap up.
Cool.
Thank you very much for spending time.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
good to see you, Alice.
Great.
Yeah, thanks for having us on Delphi TV.
Yeah.
Indeed. See you
See ya.
later.